For decades, voters have asked why Election Day is held on a Tuesday amid growing scrutiny among Americans who say it's an inconvenient time to vote. Many voters have even pushed to make Election Day a national holiday. One America's Rachel Asenes takes a look at why we vote when we vote.
The U.S. ranks 27th out of 35 when it comes to voter turnout among developed countries. Many Americans argue if Election Day wasn't held on a Tuesday, more people would vote. And during every presidential election, voters tend to ask why one of the most important days in the political process is held on what seems to be the most inconvenient day of the week. Election Day has long been dubbed Super Tuesday, but to many voters, there's nothing super about it. It's on a work day, inconvenient, and well, on a Tuesday. There was even a group founded in 2005 called Why Tuesday? Its executive director went across the country and found out even the most high-profile politicians don't know the answer.
Do you happen to know why we do vote on Tuesday?
No, I don't.
Do you happen to know why it is that we vote on Tuesdays?
Here at this school, but everybody.
So do you know why we vote on Tuesday?
No.
To answer why Tuesday, we must first ask why November. Back in 1845, most Americans made their living from agriculture, and Congress believed November was the most convenient month for farmers. They spent most of their spring and summer times preparing fields and planting crops. By early November, though, the harvest was over, the weather was mild, and the dirt roads were dry enough to travel to polling places. That leads to the decades-long question, why is voting day on the Tuesday after the first Monday in November? One reason is religion. Traditionally, November 1st is All Saints' Day, which is a holy day of obligation celebrated by devout Christians. The second reason is business. In general, merchants worked on their books by tallying their sales and expenses from the previous month on the first of each month. And Congress feared an unusually good or bad economic month might influence the vote if elections were held on the 1st. But that was then, and this is now. Times have changed, and many argue it's time for voting to change too. In 2012, Congressman Steve Israel announced legislation to move Election Day to the weekend, hoping to increase voter turnout.
And the answer is there is no good answer for our voting on Tuesday. There is good reason to change voting from Tuesday to weekends.
But several efforts to pass the Weekend Voting Act have died over the past decade. Today, the practice of early voting and mail-in ballots make it more convenient. As for the Weekend Voting Act, there's still hope. Last year, for the 5th time, the legislation was sent to committee and hasn't been killed yet. That means maybe voters will be heading to the polls on a Super Saturday or Super Sunday come 2020. Rachel Asenes, One America News.